Hi BookTube, welcome back. Today's Friday, so I thought I'd come here and do a Friday Reads video for you. I just kind of want to sum up the end of my vacation last week. I had done a little bit of a reading vlog and posted that, showed you some of the weather, how it was deteriorating, and glad I didn't have to drive through it. But we started out with really beautiful sunny weather on Monday, rain on Tuesday, and a blizzard on Wednesday, which dumped like about 10 inches of snow on us. Okay, so I dealt with that, a lot of plowing and everything. But Thursday night, I was in the basement bathroom and I heard dripping coming from the shower. I thought, did somebody leave the shower, running? Didn't shut the water all the way off? Well, when I looked, I noticed this. So apparently we had a leak in the shower. So if you're gonna have a leak anywhere, you couldn't ask for a better place. But then we had to track it down. So I spent Thursday night about 5 hours worth ripping apart the ceiling fan to get the light off and get everything out and trying to see where the water was coming from. Then I had to start cutting some drywall. I couldn't cut all the way over because all I had was this stupid little utility knife. But we ended up contacting a plumber to have them come in literally the next day to check out and see if there was some kind of a plumbing leak going on in there, and luckily that turned out not to be the case. And then I called a roofer who said they were going to come right out, so that was really nice, timing-wise. Couldn't ask for quicker service. They came out, shoveled the roof, because there was a lot of snow up there, and there are 2 ice dams. We have problems with ice dams. That causes leaks in your house. Well, what I tracked it down even before the roofer came out. It was coming down the ice dam, down the side of the wall, into our back screen door on the upper level, down under the threshold, into the floor, and directly into the shower. So yeah, he said there's like a 10-inch ice dam up there. And so he worked at like shoveling and chipping away and tossing lots of calcium chloride up there to like start the melting process. Still not even completely melted. And we are now, this is almost a week later. Yeah, so I've been dealing with a lot of that. There's been so much ice, downspouts clogged, just frozen solid, trying to open these up and find where they're supposed to drain out, and just constantly chipping away at ice melting from the roof, freezing on the sidewalk, and then I had another sidewalk backing up. It's just been a kind of a nightmare. So my vacation did not end as smoothly as I hoped. I didn't quite get as much relaxing reading as I wanted to, or as many videos as I wanted to post. So I apologize for missing last Friday. But I'm here. I'm going to go ahead and wrap up what I finished reading on those days and let you know what I'm reading now. And then I have to find out how I'm going to fix the bathroom. Anyway, so I did eventually finish reading Murder on the Road by Adriana Liccio. This was the Italian village mystery in which we have Gio, our main character, who is a travel writer. She had kind of canceled her wedding and returned home to the village she grew up in Italy and trying to decide what she wants to do with the rest of her life when she stumbles upon this horrific scene on a mountain road where a huge boulder has fallen down on top of a car and crushed a woman. It appears at first an accident, but on further investigation, they realize that this rock didn't fall on its own, and her being the first on the scene puts her as like a main suspect, and she begins to kind of like being drawn into this, and along with her sister Agnese and another police detective, she starts kind of working on the crime. And my main concern was I didn't really feel that Italian atmosphere throughout the story, but it kind of grew a little bit more as the story progressed, and I really did enjoy it. It was a really good, well-crafted mystery. I like the way the whole thing unfolded, and I like that kind of characters. There's a little weird side story with her sister and her perfume shop and how she seems to magically find the right perfume that'll just change these people's lives. I don't really care for that aspect so much of it, but I did like the way the story progressed and the way the whole mystery worked out. So really enjoyed it. I probably will pick up another one if I come across it. Then I just finished She Who Became the Sun by Shelley Parker Chan. This is the first book in a series. I don't know if I could bring up the series name really quick. Let me see. The Radiant Emperor, book 1. This follows an unnamed girl at the beginning, a young girl. She's growing up in a poverty-stricken small little China village. This is like 1345 China. And she's living with her father and her older brother. Now, being a female, her future isn't like important to anybody, it seems like. Women, it's like whatever, but her brother's told that his future is destined for greatness, but her, nothingness. And then some bandits come in, her father's killed, and her brother just kind of succumbs to his despair and dies. And she's left there on her own. And the only way she's going to be able to survive is to take on her brother's identity. So she becomes Zhu Xianghua and enters a monastery. So where she's got to hide her gender and kind of hope to pass as a monk and secure that new future. But it's not enough for her. I really like the character in the beginning and when she does whatever, to survive but it's a very morally ambiguous character who gets kind of progressively darker as the story goes along. And she's determined to get that greatness. She wants it all. And so yeah, it was interesting story. There's also a parallel story of a Mongol general. His name is Ouyang, and he's a eunuch. His whole family was killed because of something, but he was spared, but turned into a eunuch, and now he's like fighting for them. But his main destiny, you might say, throughout the story is seeking revenge. And it's interesting how these stories, these two characters' fates sort of intertwine. And it's beautifully written, really beautifully written. There are some slow spots I found within the story where you get into some battles. It's not overly technical on the battles, but I felt some parts were a bit slow. The beginning part really grabbed my attention, and some of the middle part slowed down, and then it kind of ramped up towards the end. So I'm looking forward to whenever the sequel comes out. I haven't really delved into when that is since this one just was released, but I highly recommend it. Really, really good. Let's see. Oh, I also finished the manga series, I Hear the Sunspot, Limits 1, Limit 2, and Limit 3. And this is by Yuki Fumino. Now, I wasn't too sure, like I said on my last video, about this series. It seems like I trying to figure it out on Goodreads. It was a little confusing that there was books before that. Thank you to one of you who actually pointed out that there were 2 other books prior to this series. One just entitled I Hear the Sunspot, and then I Hear the Sunspot, Thoughts on Happiness. And that's where you really learn about the 2 main characters. I'm not sure I'm going to pronounce these correctly, but Kohei, he's the student with a disability. He has a hearing loss. Not completely deaf yet, but it's pretty much inevitable that will happen. And he's a bit more quiet, distant, keeps pretty much to himself. But then he meets Taichi, this gentleman here, who's much more outgoing, and I guess through the course of the first 2 stories is when the first 2 characters meet, become friends. Excuse me. And then Kohei kind of professes his feelings for Taichi, which I think by the second book are reciprocated. So, but it's still kind of new, the whole change of their relationship is very new still. And that's when you enter into this series. Now, we've got our one character, Kohei, still in school, university, whereas Taichi's now kind of gone off into the workforce. And I think a lot of this story had the main characters kind of apart, kind of testing the waters on their, where their future lies, and maybe feeling like they're holding each other back, particularly Kohei with his hearing disability. But yeah, it was pretty good. I just think I would have liked it better had I gotten to know the characters as this relationship sort of developed. The author does say that they want to continue, because this particular series here, most of the time the 2 characters are kind of apart. So you don't get to see what that relationship is like. It's more like their internal thoughts and what other people are telling them about, hey, why are you trying to fit in with this world, or don't you, you feel like you're being held back or whatever. And so the author did say that they wanted to kind of explore more about the building up of the relationship between the two, the more romantic aspects of the relationship. So whenever that comes out, I'll probably check it out. But I would like to try and get a hold of the first two and see what I think about all that. But that's what I had finished reading just around the end of last week, where I just didn't have a chance to film anything. Like I said, I'm still battling ice again a little bit today, and it still hasn't completely melted. It's just so frustrating. But anyway, I am still delving into the James Herriot book. This is the best of James Herriot stories. I'm only on page 58. I pick it up once in a while, read a story or something, and move on. But I'm not going to sit down and just read this whole chunker of a story. What else am I reading? No. On my Kindle, I am reading Jeremy Bates's The Island of Dolls. This is a horror author who I've read several of them before. This is The World's Scariest Places, book 4. I'm not sure what the whole series is. I know I've read The Catacombs and the one on Suicide Forest, the Aokigahara Forest in Japan. Those two were really good. I read another one I didn't enjoy so much, The Sleep Experiment. That's based on some story about a Russian experiment with keeping people awake, and he did a little twist on this and what it did to the people. That one I didn't care so much for. That was just a bit gruesome. I like the more horror, kind of creepy, paranormal kind of thing going on. This one, Island of the Dolls, we have a group of people going to this island. It's kind of in the canals of Mexico. Xochimilco, I can't even pronounce it. But if you look up Island of Dolls, you'll find it on Wikipedia. Even, what is that? Exploring with Josh Gates on Discovery Channel. One of his crews went there and investigated the paranormal aspects of it, which is pretty cool. But there's all sorts of stuff on YouTube you can delve into it a little bit. I kind of watched a couple of them to get the feel of what the place looked like. But there's a story behind this island in these canals where a man lived on his own, and one day he discovered the body of a young woman who had drowned in the canal just off the island. And he rescued her. I think there was something about a possibility of a doll that was nearby as well. And being very superstitious, he hung the doll up there to kind of like maybe ward off or to appease her spirit in case her ghost tried to come back. And little by little, more and more dolls started showing up. He'd bring in more and more dolls, or people would come and bring the dolls. And now this island is just packed full of very creepy looking dolls. And apparently this man later died. He was found also in the canal, very near where the girl's body was discovered. That's apparently the story behind it. They've changed the name of that main character within this particular book. But what is taking place now is a documentary group is going to this island to film. The guy's name is Pepper. They get some weird names. His name is Pepper. He's the guy doing the documentary. He brings along this woman, Peta, and her boyfriend, Jack. Jack is like the first person point of view that we get the story told from on that main side of the story. And then Peta's brother, Jesus. Yes, his name is Jesus. I thought it was Jesus, but apparently not. It's Jesus because Jack keeps calling him God every once in a while. They don't quite get along all that great well. And then Jesus brings his friend Nitro, who Jack calls Muscles, his big guy, and they're always butting heads. That part of the story kind of really gets a little annoying. I'm about 3/4 of the way through the book, but they're constantly like arguing, and it's just like, oh, I'm tougher than you are. I'm tougher than you are. You're like, geez. Jack is our main character. He's a kind of retired NASCAR driver. He had some crashes and accidents that are now causing him headaches, and he can't do that anymore. He's drinking. He's not the greatest character himself either, or the most reliable, but he's probably the most likable one in this story. And a couple other characters we meet along the way. But what happens is while they're there, they discover a young girl, and her name is Rosa. Anyway, she was there with her brother and his girlfriend, and now they find her hiding for some reason because she said she heard her brother scream, and he told her to run. they end up finding a body. And it doesn't look like it's just a natural death. So now I think they're on this island. They're stuck there because their canal person left with the boat because of the bad weather, and they're stuck there with the possibility of a murderer on the island. Lots of weird things going on with the dolls. It just gives a very creepy atmosphere. I'm enjoying it for the most part so far. I'd like more of a paranormal thing going on than the murder mystery, but we'll see what happens. But I do generally like his writing, so we'll see how it goes. And I'm about to start a new audiobook since She Who Became the Sun was my last one and I just finished that. So I decided to download Mexican Gothic. This is by Silvia Moreno Garcia. This is a big book. I believe it was last year. It is a Gothic horror story. That appealed to me right away. Staying in Mexico, this is kind of interesting. I could just realize the two themes. Island of the Dolls is in Mexico, and so is this one. But I don't know a whole lot about it. I kind of stayed away from all the reviews and stuff. I just basically read a little bit on Goodreads. Is that the main storyline is this woman receives a letter from her cousin, her newly married cousin, begging her to come to their estate because she's like morbidly afraid of some doom that's supposed to happen. And that's all I even recall from reading Goodreads. That's all I really want to know. I kind of want to go in fairly blind. I know a lot of people say it was really, really good, so I'm looking forward to something that'll really hold my attention and something a bit spooky because I'm kind of in the mood for that. But so that's my story. That's where I've been this kind of past week, but I'm glad I at least got on here again to do Friday reads. I'm trying to film a little bit more. I've got a bit of a book haul still I have to film. Hoping to get to that soon. And stay tuned. And I hope you guys have something good to read. Let me know what you're reading down below, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.